But we are here tonight to specifically raise funds for two of our other liberty-minded candidates. I can count on just my fingers with fingers left over on how many of our legislators that I would be willing to come and to stand up and say, these are the kind of patriot servants that we need up there in Frankfort defending our liberty. And I am proud tonight to stand and do everything I can to support these two people. And I told them today that I first met them in office, the closer you will stay to the Constitution, the closer I will stay to you. And you see how close I am to them tonight. May it always be so. We all the time are complaining about, what's going on in politics, and we do seem to have our share of dirty skunks up there. But we need some people who are willing to serve. Do you realize the political office, when they first came out with that, it was called the minister of this and the minister of that. It was seen as a ministry, a point of service. Now, for those of you who don't know, my name is Brother Lee Watts, and I host a YouTube channel called Patriot Point. And thank you very much. And you came anyway. All right. And for 14 years, I've served as a volunteer chaplain to the Kentucky State Capitol. So if you're going to be around me, you're going to hear the Constitution and the Bible. You're going to have to learn to live with it. All right? So I want to give you a quote from a Bible verse right now, because we have so many people that are saying, oh, I wish somebody would go up there and do something about it. We have tens or hundreds of thousands of citizens, even here in Kentucky, who say that. But we had two people who followed a verse that we can see in Isaiah chapter 6 and verse number 8, which says, I've heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? And who will go for us? Then said I, here am I, Lord.
Send me.
Send me.
Amen.
And I can tell you a few times, it's a lion's den up there. And those who you would think would be your allies are not your allies. And yet when you have a few people that'll stand up, oh, we also have Representative Dolan over here tonight. All right, let's welcome him as well. We got Senator Sickle going. Of course, our two main. Do we have any others that I haven't
Our
noticed?
commissioners, our county commissioners are here.
All right.
Come back to left.
She just said that. All right, well, we have a commissioner here. Anybody else? Because I want to make sure we recognize them.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well,
PBA.
our PBA. All right. So,
Don't say that. The bills went out last week.
Oh, they're gonna like us.
all right. Well, welcome to all of our elected officials. I appreciate you being here. We need conservative leadership. I'm a Republican. I'll never be anything else, but I'm a conservative first and a Republican second. And if you're a Republican that's actually against the Democratic skies, I'm going against it. I'm Lee Watson. I approve this message. Now, again, I like to tell you, I'm going to give you some Bible verses. I'm going to give you another one. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 27 says, God hath chosen the weak things of the world to confound the wise and those that are mighty. Now, why would God do that? Why would he choose people who are not the richest, who are not the most well-known, that he would say, I am calling you to be my servant and to do certain things? Well, the answer is in the next verse. It says that no flesh should glory in his presence, that according as it is written, he hath glorified, let him glorify in the Lord. So we see people who are saying, yes, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to serve the people, and anything that I accomplish is only by God's grace, and may he get all the glory, and that's why his hand can be upon those kind of people. Whatever you give tonight, I want you to realize that it is something that you are sowing. We have the principles of sowing and reaping, and sometimes only the things that you give are the only things that you will be able to keep. I had a pastor friend one time, and he loved to have antiques. And his most cherished, prized antique was a rocking chair that used to be owned by Benjamin Franklin. He invented the rocking chair in the year 1710. And this was Brother Matthias's favorite, most treasured pieces of antiques he ever owned. And then one day he felt the Lord putting upon his heart, I want you to sell that or give it away to the guy down the street who runs an antique shop. He said, Lord, I'll give any amount of money you want to the church. I'll donate any of my other antiques to the shop, but don't make me sell that one chair. That's my favorite thing. God said, I'm putting on your heart that you're supposed to sell that or give that away to the antique shop down the street. He wrestled with that. He didn't want to let go of his favorite thing, but finally he said, all right, Lord. He loaded it up on his truck. He drove to the antique store, and he sold to the guy for less than $50. This should be worth tens of thousands of dollars. But the guy says, I'll give you $50, and he took it. He takes the $50, goes back home, and finds out his house is burned to the ground. And the only antique he has left out of his collection cost him $50 to go back and buy back. You may be here tonight thinking, I don't know if I can give. Times are hard. I need this for something, but I'm telling you this, if something that you were to give might be the one thing that God says, I'm going to use that. Because see, there's principles about sowing and reaping. And let me tell you what it is that if you give tonight, what you are doing is you're saying, I'm willing to invest, I'm willing to sow this money, saying, I want these kinds of people in office. Because I can tell you, those who want to put those who don't want to serve, but want to be served, they have a crowd that's going to help put them into office. 3 principles of sowing and reaping. 1, if you sow, you will reap. Number 2, whatever you sow now, you will reap later than now. And number 3, you may sow, whatever you sow, you are going to reap a great deal more back than what you sowed. If you sow tonight some money to give to Representative Proctor and Representative Rawlings, I can tell you, you will not reap tonight. We will reap in the future. And if we don't give tonight, then those who will get into office that would seek to replace them, they're going to wind up taking that same money and probably a whole bunch more, because we always will reap more than what we sow. I hope that you will consider these two worthy to say, hey, they put up their hands saying, I hear my Lord, I will go. And that you will invest in that. Because I can tell you, sometimes it's a scary thing up there. I can tell you that after 14 years of service, people that will just call you across the side and say, I hate you. And they're supposed to be somebody who's your big friend. So they have put their money where their mouth is. It's just like some of our founding fathers who signed the Declaration of Independence. 56 people signed the Declaration of Independence. Do you realize that nearly 1/3 of them then walked out of Independence Hall and joined the Continental Army? They put their money where their mouth was. When Benjamin Franklin signed the Declaration of Independence, he said, gentlemen, we must now all hang together, or assuredly we will all hang separately. They knew they cannot do this on their own. We know the famous story of John Hancock. He signed real big. And they said, why have you signed your name so big, Mr. Hancock? He says, because King George has bad eyesight, and I wanted to know that my name is on this document. These two people have stood up and said, I want the liberals and the rhinos to know that my name will be on this ballot. There's one other person I want to tell you about. His name is Stephen Hopkins. He was a representative from New Jersey. When he signed, Mr. Hopkins, he had the palsy. Of course, the palsy is what makes you shake. So when they gave him the quill and his hand was shaking, he didn't want to dishearten all of the other founding fathers, making them think that he was afraid. So as he set that quill to that parchment, he said, gentlemen, my hand trembles, but my heart does not. And we need some people that are saying, you know what, I'm willing to stand up. I'm willing to make a difference. I'll take the hits, but I can't go up there alone. He needs somebody to get behind them. Like Aaron and Hur held up the hands of Moses and they said, here, my Lord, send me. They have answered the call, and now I hope you will answer the call to help send them back to Frankfurt. Thank you very much.
Well, we appreciate everybody here. We're eternally grateful for you all and the work that Boone County did and the citizens here in this community, including Tea Party and the Boone County Republican Party. We've had so much backing and so much help, and we are, Marianne and Steve Doan and I are an outgrowth of the precinct strategy and getting the communities involved, and we're eternally grateful for that, even though what we do is not so easy. We're swimming against the stream down there. We have a lot of opposition. There's a lot of plans to unseat us. That's one reason we had this fundraiser scheduled so early, is we've got a lot of people that don't like us there. When the 3 of us won our election, they were not happy. That was 3 chairmen of powerful chairmen of committees that got knocked out, and that was their friends. And so since then, there's some vindictiveness going on. They've kicked our buddy Steve off a committee, so 4 out of The 6 people they kicked off the committees are in northern Kentucky. So we need your help. We got to fight back against this. We're just trying to represent the people. So I wanted to share some good news, though, that doesn't ever get out there. CPAC Foundation did a study on the most conservative to the least conservative states. And Kentucky was number 6, most conservative. So I think we made an impact. I think we made a difference. Not just us, but there were 20 new people. And so we have moved the chains. And so we're not going to rest on our laurels, so we've got to go more. We've got to do more. Alliance Defending Freedom did a study of state laws, state legislation. In 2023, there were only 3 states that passed parental rights bills, and Kentucky was the leader in parental rights legislation. I got to co-sponsor an ESG bill, Environmental Social Governance, which some of you know about. And the primary sponsor, Scott Sharp, he heard back that it was the strongest ESG bill in the nation. And so we were a leader in the ESG. States like Indiana followed us, which was great. So we let me think of another bill. It's a school discipline bill. I was able to contribute to the school discipline bill, and that has got national attention. Senator Schickel just sent me a second article where a national article on that topic, and there were several states that followed our lead. So that was a really big deal. So there were a lot of good bills, but people don't know because the media is not going to say anything about that. So we were. I wanted to read an article. This is what I wanted to share tonight off the Burning Platform by Max Morton, who was a U.S. Marine colonel. And it reflects my thoughts that I wanted to share tonight. Kind of tells you where we're at and where we need to go in the next steps. So somehow America ended up with a ruling class. A government instituted by and for the people now considers the people its most dangerous enemy. We can counter assaults by the ruling class institutions by organizing at the local and state levels. And that's what I wanted to emphasize, that what we have accomplished is exactly that. We did it on the local levels. The federal government's not going to do it for us. We have to do it here, and we've been so successful. And we've been an inspiration to other counties, and the rest of northern Kentucky, the rest of the state has heard about what Boone County is doing. We need to primary those state and local officials who are more concerned with conforming to the ruling elite's ideology than ensuring the welfare of their own constituents. And we see that down there big time. In the struggle, we traditional Americans need to help one another, have each other's backs, and unite as a community. We need to use our collective strength and resources to protect and support our movement and its members. If we do this, we nullify the primary weapons the ruling elite can wield against us. If we want to disband the ruling class and restore America to a constitutional republic, if we want to have a functioning representative government for the people, by the people, then we have to do it ourselves. No politician or political party will do this for us. So I want you all work together and join us. We want to be champions for the people. We want to be champions for truth. We want to be champions for liberty and freedom and the Constitution. And we want to be champions for parents and families and our kids and grandkids. And school choice right now is kind of on pause, but we want to be champions for school choice. And that's going to come up in 2024. Okay, thank you all. Appreciate it.
Good evening. I am humbled by all of you that are here. And as tradition dictates, we always acknowledge our elected officials, and they usually do, and we usually recognize them. And I am grateful for all of them, all these county commissioners, a lot of county representation here tonight, along with reps and senator that were already acknowledged. But I want to say, I want to acknowledge you all and thank all of you who are behind the scenes. Because, you know, tonight it's really not about me, it is about we the people. All of you have been the we that have helped Rawlings and I to be in the position that we're at. And some of you tonight, I just really want to thank you. You know, they say you are the company you keep. I am really glad to keep company with Brother Lee Watts. Let me tell you. If you do not follow him on Patriot Point, I would recommend you do. It comes out every Friday. Please do. Many times, when they are dark days in Frankfurt, I will find Brother Lee in that cafeteria. He prays with me and over me many times. It helps me to continue on. I want to thank Andrew Cooperrider. You talk somebody who knows liberty. This man, he'll tell you his story, but he sued the governor and won. That's a guy I want. But all of you that are behind the scenes, like Kim Swan right now, who I don't do Facebook very well, but she sure does it for me. We have Jill Houston, who is videotaping, and our photographer and our advertiser. She's behind the scenes, but she helps us. Jan Scalco, she rounds up the troops and promotes and supports and helps us. The Wires, you guys are at every event, and Carol, you have been brave, sharing your story with people you don't know. You have a passionate story about your mother. It's brave, and we thank you for doing that. Pence's, my goodness, I don't know if we've ever had an event. You guys aren't there and supporting us and praying for us, and thank you. Thank you, Pence's, for doing that. You know, there's so many people. I could just go on and thank every person here has helped me in many ways, whether it's been knocking doors, or you've made phone calls, or you've done friend-to-friend postcards. We couldn't do it without you. So that's why we are here, because we are we the people. And I think they lost that in Frankfurt. But I tell you what, they got a little nervous in Frankfurt. When Boone County, they're like, uh-oh, Boone County's awake. And so they're a little scared. And what's funny, right before I got on here, I got a message from leadership that said, hey, I heard y'all had like a really big turnout for your fundraiser. Word travels fast. But anyways, they were pretty upset, as you guys know, and they have not made it particularly easy for Rawlings and I, but that's okay. Because I'm real clear when I went down there. They started off, saying, oh, they gave us many names. One of them was the Liberty candidate, which I always found amusing because they meant it as a pejorative. When I always said, I'm a Christian constitutional conservative, but they wanted to make it the Liberty candidate. I'm like, okay, liberty. Living free in society from oppressive regulation by authority over your lifestyle. So yes, I am the Liberty candidate. And I love when you walk into my office, the first thing that you see is the flag that draped my father's coffin. You see a hand-signed picture of Rush Limbaugh receiving the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And right underneath that, I have a really big plaque that I hope that their eyes are drawn to. When people fear the government, there's tyranny. When the government fears the people, there's liberty. So I hope they see that, and I'm going to leave that up there as long as I'm there in office. But I hear there's plans for me not to be, so I'm grateful for you all to be here tonight. We have made great strides in this last session. It was music to my ears when people said to me, my goodness, this is the most conservative legislators that we've had in decades. Why? It's amazing how the influence of a few, of Doan, of Rawlings, of myself, and we're not alone. There are others down there. Certainly Josh Calloway that made that Senate Bill 150 happen. And for those that don't know, but I think everybody in this room does, that stopped the gender reassignment surgeries. Stopped the pronouns. And it stopped the bathroom confusion that the schools seem to have. So it was easy to stand firm on that. I heard from you all. Easy to stand firm. At the end of the day, I know what I'm supposed to do. Proverbs 29:2 makes it real clear. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. When the wicked rule, the people groan. So my goal is to have more of the righteous in there, so we have more of rejoicing, and that we can go to work, and you guys don't really have to worry about it. You can live your lives and continue on. We also made great strides with giving parents a way to challenge the pornography in the schools. Again, easy to stand firm for those principles. But so why? Why am I doing this again? Because our job's not done. We still have work to do. So the things that I would like to still accomplish this session, we must have parental choice. We must have where the tax dollar follows a child. Yes, we can cheer for that, it's fine. Boone County, we're going to need you to show up. That's a constitutional amendment. So we're going to need you to show up for that. Another goal is to get rid of masks and vaccine mandates. Do you know we still have And we're not done. You may have seen a hospital up in Ohio is requiring that the staff wear the mask. We're not done, so I'm hoping to get that through. Another thing we need to do is we need to rein in spending. This is the budget year. We must rein in spending. And then, as you guys know, my signature legislation repealing certificate of need. And I must say that was not what I ran on, but when I went and knocked those 2,000 doors, I heard you all, Boone County. And I heard you crying out, can we have choices? So I'm happy to do that. If you live below the 275 loop, I guess we're not really in a monopoly, but if you're north of 275, then, they say you have choices. But those of us that live here in Boone County, no, it's not a 10-minute drive across the bridge. And there's a lot of issues why that isn't working. So although it has become personal for the hospital, it is not a personal issue for me and the hospital. It is the policy. The policy that one must have a government permission slip and go through 9 steps to be able to open up a hospital bed, to be able to have chemical dependency, to be able to be treated for psychiatric issues, to have an ambulatory surgical center, home health, hospice. There are 32 different technologies and services that are regulated by the certificate of need. So Ohio has 1, Indiana has 1. Why is Kentucky holding on to 32? It's a really good question. I think the message in northern Kentucky has gotten out loud. Now we need to work on our rural neighbors who are a little bit afraid. But I can tell you that certificate of need has not helped our rural hospitals. Since 2005, there have been 4 rural hospitals that have closed. We have 10 at risk from closing. Certificate of need did not save them. And it's not somebody swooping in and buying up these hospitals. It indeed has been the existing hospital that owns a certificate of need that has closed down a rural hospital in Owen County and run out many of our doctors. So my goal is to push that legislation through. I appreciate all of you who have been very loud. I love when the chair of the Certificate of Need Task Force says to me, man, do you represent union? I sure do. They hear from me and I appreciate that. So in closing, I just am thankful for you all that we have an uphill push. There will be competition. We already know Rawlings has it. I am certain it's coming from me. So I'm going to need you guys. We are going to need to rally. I'm going to need door knockers. We are going to need people to make phone calls, do friend-to-friend postcards. You cannot sit out this election. I know there's concerns about the election integrity, but please don't have that be a reason to be at home. Don't find election day to be a good day to sort your sock drawer. We need you to come out, and we need you to bring your friends. So I am thankful for all of you guys here tonight. I appreciate your support and standing with us. So thank you very much. And next I want to introduce Andrew Cooperrider. You guys don't know who he is. Well, you're in for a treat.
Those of you who don't know, my name is Andrew Cooperrider. I love being in Boone County. And part of the reason why is because while I was running for state treasurer, I did win Boone County. Thank you all so very much. I appreciate it. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm a business owner out of Lexington that during 2020, my coffee shop was forced closed by the local health department, and I said no, and I remained open. And one thing I've learned from that altercation is the true meaning of character. Because character is following through long after the excitement of the moment has left. I can tell you, during the exciting moment when the TV cameras were there, and people were there talking, we had lines out the doors, but just when they said, hey, you know what, you don't have to wear a mask anymore, we're going to allow you not have to wear a mask anymore. Not, you made us not force it on you, but we're going to allow you to do it. The excitement for a lot of people wore off. But I can tell you, I am still in court 3 years later with the governor, still asking for permission to do business. There are hundreds of other business owners that either just got their liquor licenses back or are still in court like I am fighting it. And this speaks to our legislators up in Frankfurt. This is not a story I've ever really told before, so I'm going to tell you guys about it. Shortly after I stayed open, and there was a lot of excitement, Damon Thayer, I was at an event, Damon Thayer was there, and he was speaking. And he called me out, and he said, oh, I see Andrew's back there, of course, a celebrity of the moment. You guys up here know he went over to Beans and shook Richard's hand. He probably doesn't like him too much anymore either. But he looked me in the eye and he said, I'll do everything I can to get you your licenses back. That was the December before the 2021 session. And a leadership member in the House, not going to say any names, but it rhymes with Rudy, stopped a piece of legislation that would allow anybody whose licenses were taken away or affected due to COVID mandates to be returned to them. His stated reason was, well, we don't want to reward lawbreakers. These are Republicans, our leadership in the House, that says what Andy Beshear does is wrong, but at the same time says those who stood up to him and said, no, we're breaking the law and we're wrong to do so. That is what we're dealing with in Frankfurt. And we are to blame for that. Because we've spent far too long not paying enough attention. We've spent far too long not investing in our futures. We broke our government because we vote off dumb things like text messages and postcards and TV ads, and we don't bother to actually research the voting records of the people we support and are voting for. And when that happened, elections started to be bought. And the people who buy these elections, they're not doing it out of the kindness of their hearts, they're doing it to make a profit. They profit off of you. They make money off of you. I'm not just talking about a few thousand here or there. There are tens of millions of dollars right now in this state that is being jerked around based upon who can give the governors the most amount of money. This is why our politics is broken. And that's why it takes us together to give to candidates like Rawlings and candidates like Representative Proctor, well, current candidates that are currently in office, to give to those who are fighting for us. Because those who have a vested interest in controlling the outcomes of your lives, those who profit from it, are coming after them. We know Ed Massey has filed against Rawlings. Apparently he wants to rehash that fight. About 4 or 5 months ago, I sat next to Ed Massey at a little event. There's about 15 people there. And he was complaining about the fact that Rawlings beat him like a redheaded stepchild. And he said, well, when only 3,000 people show up to vote, this is what's going to happen. Only 3,000 people show up to vote. I'm going to lose. Why is that, Ed? Is it because you need more dumb masses to just cast a vote next to the incumbent without considering the actual voting record of the individual? That is what they rely on. But that's why it takes everybody in this room to donate and to go out. Make sure you knock those doors. Grab people and tell them this is what's going on. Because I'll tell you a little secret. Representatives, not these ones, representatives, and that one over there, I'm pretty sure he's okay. Representatives will lie to their people. How many of you have ever heard a representative tell their constituents a bill did something or didn't do something that it quite clearly did? How many people have seen that? Raise your hand. It's incredibly infuriating. I've gotten into Facebook arguments with representatives where I'm like, no, that's what the bill does. No, it doesn't. Here's a copy of the bill. That's what it says. No, it doesn't. Oh, no, they read it. They just don't want it to say what it means. Here's a little secret. Nobody wants to be the villain in their own story. When they're controlling your lives, they believe they're doing it for your best interests. How many of you are aware of CAR? Crisis Aversion Rights Retention Act. How many of you have ever heard of that? That isn't a representative. You need to know about this. This is being proposed by Republicans. And they're trotting out mothers of victims of gun crimes in order to pass a red flag laws here in Kentucky where you, not accused of a crime, will be drugged in front of a judge and have to defend your right to own a firearm despite the fact you have never done anything wrong.
Yeah.
Republicans, this isn't a Democrat wish list, this is a Republican pushing that forward. These are the kinds of things we have got to be aware of and we've got to be fighting. How many of you watch the con law hearings like I do? You're not a nerd. That's okay. I don't blame you. I'm a nerd. Those of you unaware, I do a daily podcast on politics called the Andrew Cooperrider Show. So of course, I watch these dumb things. Anyways, I don't know how you do it. The pompous jerks on this committee. Oh my goodness. How do you not punch him in the face? I've got real. You have more restraint than I do. My gosh, Senator Meredith. Oh, I saw him dressing down somebody the other day. I'm like, what a jerk you think? You think you control all of God's miracles? Think so highly? How do you fit through the door? Big head with that. But anyways, that's who we're dealing with. These people who don't think the Constitution matters. They don't think the state Constitution matters. They just care that they know best. And that's why they want to control you. They know best. You're just an idiot. How can you be trusted? We've got to deliver because if you don't have their back, if we don't support the people we send up there to do the hard work and they can get picked off, what is the incentive to anybody else to do the right thing? If we can't show we can protect the people that do the right thing, why would anybody do it? There's no profit in doing the right thing. We've got to show that not only can we get good people elected, but we can protect them. So we can make a forward motion here in Kentucky.